So let's have a little chat, shall we? Let's have a little occult chat. This is your host, The Occult View. I've tried to make this video 3 times. Third time's a charm, right? So let's have a little chat, shall we? I am an occultist. I'm not in a cult. I'm an occultist. An occultist is someone who studies different spiritual philosophies. We may have one practice that we practice within a spiritual belief system, but the occult is not a practice. The occult is hidden knowledge, it's not a practice. And the reason that I'm bringing this up is because there's a lot of misinformation being put out into the universe for ulterior motives. See, real occultists, we don't have ulterior motives. We speak from the heart. That's our power. That's our spiritual power. We don't have any allegiance to one thing or another. And there's nothing wrong if you do. But there's a problem in the universe. There's a problem. I was watching a video today, and this is someone that I'm subscribed to, and I really enjoy her content. And I'm not totally faulting her. It's not about her. It's more so about the mindset and the ritual that so many people are under. You can be under ritual and not even know it, but that's another story. She did a mini documentary on her channel where she was talking about, basically, to make a long story short, people who survived being in satanic cults, major satanic cults, underground secret satanic cults. And a lot of these people were in these satanic cults even when they were children. And they were detailing and explaining their experiences. It was very traumatic. It was very it was very traumatic. But see, as an occultist, these are the types of things that I listen to and I hear because I study the darkest parts of the occult as well as the other parts of the occult as well. You can't study one aspect and not study the other. So, as an occultist, I listen to all forms of so called occultism, whether it be pseudo or not, because I want to know the type of world that we're living in. Now, the mini documentary that she posted with the clips of the different experiences that these people had, it was really not news to me. And the correlation was being made that some kind of way these were interconnected with Hollywood people as well. But the one thing that stood out the most was the horrible, horrible, horrible abuse of children in these satanic cults. The abuse was horrendous. It was almost hard to even listen to. But I listened to it because I wanted to just, I just wanted to, I'm interested in these types of stories because they happen. This is what's being put out into the universe. But here's my problem. Here's my problem. And I'm not talking about the person who posted the video, the author. No, I'm not talking about her personally. But here's the issue. These types of stories are always a gateway or an opportunity to demonize spirituality or to demonize the occult. First of all, let me say this again because I heard someone say practice the occult. You don't practice the occult. You practice a spiritual belief system. The occult is the study of hidden knowledge. That's what the occult means, hidden knowledge. And within that hidden knowledge, you'll find magic, whether it falls under, Wicca or, voodoo or whatever. And just like there's a dark side to the occult, there is also a darker side to Christianity as well. And that's what I really wanted to talk about because as I listened more and more to the documentary, it started becoming more clearer that this was more about bias against the occult and individual choice and thought and the individual right that people have to practice whatever spiritual practice they want to practice. And what was being done in that particular video was you had Christians who were demonizing anything that had anything to do with, how can I put this? They were demonizing anything that was not full fledged about Christianity and Jesus Christ. That's what they were doing. And that's not right. That's not right. And that's what you don't have the right to do. And see, that is the problem that people have with Christians and these other types of mainstream religions. I don't even have to go into all of the horror stories about Christianity, Catholicism, and other religions. I don't even have to do that. I don't have to do that because we all know the stories. But I find it interesting that people don't do their due diligence and they don't understand that within anything there's a dark side or a sinister side to it. First of all, let me I'm rambling. Let me say this. First of all, what people call satanic is really not satanic. People don't understand that when it comes to harming people, sacrificing, especially harming children, that is not a satanic practice. That is more along the lines of, I think, pig magic and devil worship. Lucifer, Satan, the devil are all three different entities. They are intertwined, but they're all three different entities. They may be related, but they're not the same people. Think of it this way. See, we live in the world of the upside down, like I told you all in the last video. Everything is upside down. Everything is upside down. Satan is more of a masculine energy, whereas Lucifer is more of the feminine energy. And the devil is androgynous. I know that's a little above most people's pay scale, and I get it. But the acts that you all are calling acts of satanic abuse, that's actually devil worship. And that's different from Satanism. Satanism does not promote harming children, harming animals, or harming and sacrificing other people. As a matter of fact, if you want to be technical, the devil is really the God of the Bible. But see, you have to have discernment to understand these things because it was the God of the Bible that wanted Abraham to sacrifice his son Isaac. See, people don't understand what's really going on. And I've told people, I've mentioned this and I've said this before. When it comes to Hollywood and the Illuminati and the sacrifices, because one of the things that was said was is that a lot of and they only were talking. Let me just say this. It's crazy. They were saying that people in Hollywood who claim that they're Christians are really not Christians. Yes, they are. When those people tell you that they're Christian, believe that they're Christian. I keep telling you all, Hollywood is not ran by Satanists. It's ran by the darker side. In this case, the more sinister side of Christianity. And Satanism is getting the bad rap for it. I've read the tenements of Satanism, and nothing in there talks about sacrificing children or people. That is a Christian concept. That is an Islamic concept. When those terrorists go and walk into places like they used to do in the early 2000s and with bombs on, and they would unalive a bunch of people, that was a sacrifice. When you see people participating in activities of harming children, harming others, sacrificing for their wealth and prosperity, that's not a satanic sacrifice. But because people are stupid, because people lack spiritual guidance, and they lack discernment, including a lot of Christians, they lack discernment and they don't have the Holy Ghost, or what you call the Holy Spirit, or the divine spirit, really guiding them. The real Holy Spirit is a woman, it's not a man. See, that's where your vision gets a little clouded. You all keep following the tenements and the instructions of a male deity. I told you, well, no, I didn't, but let me say it now. I said that in the two videos I tried to do prior to this one. The spiritual realm is woman. Women run the spiritual realm, particularly black women. And I don't give a fuck who gets offended by that. No offense to nobody else. But the truth is the truth. Remember, in the Garden of Eden, and I'm being biblical, but remember, as a spiritual co-worker pointed out, and I didn't, and she was the one that pointed it out, and I was like, wow, she's right. Remember, the snake talked to Eve. It didn't talk to Adam. The snake spoke to Eve. So you think about that. But you have all of these women, especially all of these black women, who are committing, I'm going to say, blasphemy against themselves. This isn't about feminism. Feminism is a political movement. I'm talking about something a little bit higher than that. You're going against your own power. You're sacrificing yourself by not doing your due diligence and listening to the unhinged the unhinged ramblings of a bunch of men telling you that you got to go back to Christ, when in fact Christ was a whole woman. Christ's energy is feminine energy. The real Christ energy is feminine energy. Oh, they didn't tell y'all that, right? Oh, I know. I know. So I'm listening to all of these stories of these men, now grown men, and some women who were who witnessed horrible abuse, who witnessed horrible sacrifices of other children. They were children at the time. They witnessed all of these horrible things in these satanic cults, and it was connected to Hollywood. We already know what goes on in Hollywood. We already know that. But my question is, why doesn't anyone ask any questions? That's my question. This is just another, see, well, this is what's going on. Religious institutions are crumbling. The church is crumbling, and the church's grasp over people. The church is nothing but sign. Christianity it has been turned into a psyop program, manipulation, misinformation. The church is crumbling. The institution of the church is crumbling, and the grasp that a lot of these churches have had over the minds of people for so long is now waning, and they are unhinged and they are furious. So what do? They put out more misinformation, they put out more manipulation, they put out more fear. Nobody's, that was another thing that was being said in that video, that people were in denial of the supernatural. Nobody's in denial of the supernatural, because I'm going to tell you something. And then the author of the video, she made a statement that, and this is no disrespect to her, but she made a statement that God shuts off our third eye for a reason. Basically, our spiritual eye, it should be shut off, and we should not see certain things. Honey child, let me tell you, well, if that's the case, he forgot to turn mine off. Let me say that again. If that's the case, God forgot to turn my third or my spiritual eye off. Because if some of you had some of the spiritual experiences that I've had from a child on up, including out of body experiences, lucid dreaming, traveling through the universe, if you had some of the experiences that I've had, it would drive most people crazy. Some of the spiritual battles I've had in the spiritual, it would drive most people crazy. So, like I said, he forgot to turn mine off. Nobody is in denial of, at least of all, me. Nobody's in denial of the supernatural. Nobody. And like I said, least of all, me. Because I know that there are evil spirits. I know that there are bad spirits. I know all of that. I understand all of that. I get it. But what you all don't understand, I'm not talking about the people that watch me. I'm talking about these people with these unhinged, fear based beliefs that they're pushing out into the universe to affect everyone else. That's why I'm speaking on it, because that's what I do. I'm the occult view. What they don't understand is this: spirituality is not black nor white. And I'm not talking about race. They showed a clip of a woman, I guess she's supposed to be an ex-witch or something, and she was talking about the movie The Craft and how she wanted to be like those young girls in The Craft, that young coven. And she said how she began practicing and all these horrible things began to happen to her, et cetera, et cetera. Well, that's because that actress, because that ain't no that bitch. You wasn't supposed to be doing it no way. That woman is a psyop put in there probably by somebody to to send out misinformation. But let's go to The Craft. Let's talk about The Craft for a moment. In the movie The Craft, do you remember what that woman Lirio told them when they came to her store? She told them that magic is both, that she said magic is neither black nor white. It's both, because nature is both, loving and cruel all at the same time. Good or bad is in the heart of the person. She said witch, but I'm going to say person. Good or bad, or evil and good, that's in the heart of the person. So all of these people who are in these hierarchies of devil worship, harming people, sacrificing people, harming children, that's in their heart. That's in their heart. They chose to do those things. That has nothing to do with God, the devil, Satan, or Lucifer. Because human beings have free will. See, you all keep forgetting that. I noticed that about Christians. They always forget the details of what they say. What do they say? The details are in the, or the devil in the details in the devil, something like that. I forgot. But they always forget the details. Humans have free will. We can do what we want. Nobody is denying the supernatural. What people are denying is your attempts to force people back into Christianity, your attempts to use horrible situations, horrid, horrendous situations that do happen to to scare people, or to put people in a state of fear, to make them go back to religion and the church. I'm not knocking religion. I'm not knocking the church. I'm just calling it out as I see it. Both of my grandfathers were ministers. It's in my blood. It's in my blood. And I can pull on those frequencies if I need to. I know how to talk in tongues too. I bet y'all didn't know that. It's in my blood. But I also understand the ritual and the cult, not the occult, but the cult of religion. My great grandfather was a Christian occultist. He had every book. He had every book that I used to go. He had a library of books about mysteries of the Bible, occultism and symbolisms of the Bible. He was a Christian occultist, my great grandfather. And that's how I know so much about the things that I know. I remember he had a book, and this was back in the late 80s. He had a book that talked about the different mysteries of the Bible that people always wanted to know. Like for example, the location of the Garden of Eden. And in that book, it said that the Garden of Eden is under the waters of the Persian Gulf. And it's been there for years, allegedly. But what I don't understand too, this universe has been around much longer than what they tell you. Humans have been around a lot longer than what they tell you. Black people have been around a lot longer than what they tell you. We were the first people to walk on this planet. Black people, from what I understand, have a 46 to 50 trillion year history in this universe, let alone on the planet Earth and other planets that can support life. So, why should we listen to a book that was created only 2,000 years ago when the universe and the earth alone has a 46 trillion year history? And we're only supposed to listen to a 2,000-year-old fable of stories that we don't even know are true or not. And then they started talking about in this same video how certain people in Hollywood are witches and all this stuff. They named, first of all, Raven Simone is not a witch. Lizzo is not a witch. Jennifer Lopez is not a witch. Let me explain. Let me explain. Just because someone practices something does not make them a witch. Let me explain. Just because someone practices or messes around with crystals or burns sage, that doesn't make them a witch. See, that's the other misinformation that people have been putting out as well. That does not make them a witch. What makes a woman a witch is her wisdom. That is what makes a woman a witch, and other things as well. A witch is determined by the bloodline, not just by burning sage or or lighting a candle. Those women that they named and the Hollywood women that they named, those were not witches. I'll tell you who were some witches in Hollywood: Betty Davis, Lucille Ball, Joan Crawford, Margaret Hamilton, that played the Wicked Witch of the West in The Wizard of Oz. Billie Holiday was a witch. Felicia Rashad is a witch. Debbie Allen is a witch. Their mother is a witch. Effie Berry was a witch, Christopher Berry's mother. Those were witches. You see the misinformation that these people are putting out? That is dangerous. And they want to take stories of people being abused spiritually. They want to take they took these stories and these clips and put them together, and they're using them as a psyop program to try to force people to run back to Christianity in fear. Oh, you better stop doing this. You better stop. I'm not stopping shit. I'm not stopping a motherfucking thing. I do what the fuck I want to do. Thy will be done. My will be done. Why would I listen to a group of people who don't even know that Lucifer, Satan, and the devil are three different characters? And I don't even really want to get into, because it's, I don't want everybody, I don't even want to get into the whole dynamics of who they really are. That's for me to know. You have your own interpretation, and I have mine. And I'm going to say this once again: people need to stop trying to interfere in other people's spiritual journey. That is why a lot of you Christians end up getting fucked up, because you are constantly trying to interfere in other people's spiritual journey. You don't have the right to do that. There are many spiritual systems throughout the world. There's Buddhism, there's Voodoo, there are other spiritual systems throughout the world. If you don't agree with them, if you think they're bad and they're evil, then that's fine. You can think that. Nobody's paying you for what you fucking think. But what you don't have the right to do is get involved in another person's spiritual path. That's going to get you fucked up and late. So nobody's denying the existence of the supernatural. People are denying the lies, the manipulation, and the misinformation that you all put out about spirituality and the occult. Because you all keep thinking that Hollywood is ran by Satanists. No, Hollywood is ran by unhinged, the unhinged, darker side of Christianity. That is what Hollywood is ran by. So when those witches that you claim, like Lana Del Rey, they said Lana Del Rey is a witch too. Those people that you claim are witches and they're Christians, you're right. Those people are Christians. They're telling you the truth, because Christians are the ones that really run Hollywood. And they practice the darker, sinister side of Christianity, which is the darker side of Yahweh or Jehovah. Same entities from the Orion star system. Huh. And then they want to say, oh, it's fallen angels that are influencing the higher ups, the higher ups that we don't see. It's fallen angels influencing them. No, it's not. You know what's influencing them? What's influencing them is their own greedy, wicked, manipulative ego. That is what's influencing them. And maybe people may look at that as being an entity. Maybe they do. But you can't use this type of stuff to try to force people back into the church, back into religion, by using the stories, horrible stories of satanic abuse, as you all would say, in satanic cults. Those are not satanic cults. Those are just cults that sacrifice people, and they put a name on it because they want to put out misinformation into the world. And they want people to run back to the church in fear. Do you really think that satanic cults, I'm gonna just say that for the sake of this video, do you really think that satanic cults are the only cults that kill people? Have you all forgot what Jim Jones did back in the 1970s? Have you all forgot about the People's Temple? Have you forgot about that? Have you forgot about David Koresh? Some of you may not have been born then. David Koresh, whatever his name was. Have you forgot about that? Have you forgot how Jim Jones manipulated his followers at the People's Temple under the guise of speaking and preaching the word of the Lord? He got those people to go into the jungle. He manipulated them. They were abused, starved, violated, tortured. He stole their money, all in the name of Christianity and all in the name of the Lord. But you all don't want to talk about that, right? You only want to focus on, I guess, the love and the light part of Christianity, if you can find it in that. But you want to talk about the most extreme parts of what you believe is the occult. The occult is not a practice. There are practices that may be under the occult, but the occult is just hidden knowledge. The occult itself is not a practice. That's misinformation in and of itself, telling people that the occult is a practice. It's not. The real reason they don't want women practicing witchcraft is because witchcraft is self empowering for women. And that's why they don't want women practicing it. And you have other women who are buying into that propaganda. They want you to be up under the ritual of a man you can't see, and probably a man you can see. Manipulation, misinformation. And we all know, going back to Jim Jones for a moment, we all know that that was government orchestrated, possibly, because there were too many government hands in that cookie jar. When Leo Ryan went down there to see how his California constituents were doing, he didn't make it back alive from Guyana, Jonestown, Guyana. And let's not forget that Jim Jones was having sex with both men and women, allegedly. There are people that are alive now who still have not gotten over, who escaped Jonestown, and they still have not gotten over the trauma of being part of the People's Temple experiment. You don't think they sacrificed people in that? But you all only want to focus on one thing. Because anytime you hear the names Lucifer, Satan, or the devil, it makes you uncomfortable. Because that's part of the PSYOP program that they have you under. Christianity is a whole PSYOP program, as it is today. And they have people that are out there that put out misinformation, that go after people, that harass people, that stalk people who don't go along with the status quo. That's the same thing that Jim Jones did. When any of his followers would step out of line, y'all should look at the movie The Story of Jim Jones, the one with Powers Booth playing Jim Jones. Y'all should look at that one. It's on YouTube for free. The Story of Jim Jones. Look at how he treated his followers. I remember there was one scene, this poor little old black lady. They were bullying this woman to give them her property. And she was like, "That property is all I got." And they told her, "We had to come looking for you. You trying to hide from Father Jones and you running around talking about Father Jones behind his back. And we had to come and force your little I guess what do they call it? Shit. The her tithe from her." They were abusive, they were bullies, and when you did not believe the same thing that they believed, they would take you out. Jim Jones harmed a lot of people, but don't nobody want to talk about that. Now, the stories that I heard today on that young lady's channel, they were horrific and they were horrendous. I am not minimizing that. But what I'm saying is how can you demonize, well, I know how they can demonize the occult. How can you demonize one thing but not take a look at the same thing over here that you're telling people that they need to run back to? Christianity has caused a lot of pain in a lot of people's lives. And if you're not in that network, Christianity is connected to Masons and everything else. So what are you all talking about? Most of your pastors are connected to Masons or are Masons. And they even said in the video that a lot of these so-called, what they were calling satanic, people, a lot of them are pastors in churches. I'm going to call them devil worshippers. That has nothing to do with Satanism or Luciferianism. True Satanism and true Luciferianism has nothing to do with what we see today or what people are trying to pass it off as. It does not. Anyway, I just had to get that off my chest because there is so much misinformation that's put out into the universe about occultism. People call it a practice when it's not. You don't practice the occult. You can study it, but you don't practice the occult. The occult is not a practice, it's not a religion. It's not. Buddhism is a religion, Christianity is a religion, Catholicism is a religion, Islam is a religion. I guess you could say Wicca is somewhat of a religion too, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, I just wanted to say that right quick. And that's all I really have to say. I'm sorry, I was checking something. That's all I really have to say. Don't drink the Kool-Aid like they did yeah, don't drink the Kool-Aid. You cannot force people to run back to Christianity using fear tactics. And that's what it really boils down to. The church is losing its grip on people, and they're panicking and they're upset about that. And they're becoming more and more unhinged each and every day. They want you to believe as they do. And if you don't believe as they do, they will harass you, they will stalk you, they will threaten you. I was looking, Morgue Official. I like his videos. I was I follow him on Instagram, and someone left him a message saying you're a false something, and if you don't repent, you're gonna go to hell, and you're this and you're that. And you know what Morg said? He said, I'll see you in hell then. I'll see you in hell. And I thought that was the perfect response to and for an unhinged population who thinks that they can bully people into believing the same thing that they want, the same thing that they believe. And to me, that's demonic. That's demonic. That has nothing to do, let me be clear. Demonic and daemon, again, two different things. Demonic to me is a human being who willingly allow themselves to be possessed by negative frequencies, lower vibrating negative frequencies. And this bitch was over there talking about people who say the word frequency and vibrating. You know, you have to watch out for them and all that. Well, I'm going to say it frequency and vibrating because you know where see, a lot of this shit is subliminal racism too, because black people are the ones who coined the term vibration and frequency. And now you have a white woman telling people that say that you have to watch out for them. Now, I'm not saying that she's racist, but it's like everything spiritually that we do, they flip it and say that it's negative or it's wicked or it's evil, but then behind the scenes, they're practicing it. They're practicing it. People use magic for different reasons. I do as I want. I do as I will. I do what I want. Does that mean that I don't have a respect for nature or the divine high spirit? No, it doesn't mean that. I don't have a respect for some of you. And as I've always said, people are not rejecting God. They're rejecting people like you. They're rejecting people like you. There's a difference. And we can reject the Jim Jones prototypes that are running around here trying to use mind control, misinformation, and manipulation to force people into these religious cults. Because that's exactly what Jim Jones did to his flock at the People's Temple. He used fear, misinformation, and manipulation, and he used their vulnerabilities to keep them under captivity and to keep taking all of their Medicaid checks, Medicare checks, and Social Security checks and stealing their property. And most of the people that he did this to were other black people and brown people as well. So here's a big finger, not to the divine high spirit. No, of course not. Because I know that there's something greater than me out there. This is not to the great divine spirit or the most high. No, no. This is to all of the people who try to speak for that deity and try to enforce their own agenda onto other people, even by using the horrendous, horrible stories of children being harmed and sacrificed in satanic cults. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not buying it. We're not rejecting God, we're rejecting you. Anyway, this is the occult view. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.